Hello dear friends, how are you? Up till now in the life processes we have discussed in the beginning the characteristic picture of living organisms. We have also discussed the four types of basic life processes. In the beginning we have discussed nutrition and autotrophic nutrition. In autotrophic nutrition we have also discussed how the plants actually perform photosynthesis, mechanism of opening and closing. From today we are going to discuss another type of nutrition that we called as heterotrophic nutrition. So what is heterotrophic nutrition? We have studied that the nutrition which is obtained by digestive organic compounds. It means the organism which requires some external supply of energy in the form of food and they cannot synthesize their own, they are called as heterotrophic organism, and the mode by which these heterotrophic organisms get their food, they are called heterotrophic nutrition. You know that there are various kinds of the type of organism. Some of the protists belonging to the unicellular eukaryotic groups like Amoeba, paramecium, they are heterotrophs. Then all the animals, they are heterotrophic organism. Even fungi, they are also heterotrophic organism. And this heterotrophic mode of nutrition is another important mode of nutrition in the life sciences we have to understand. There are basically three types of heterotrophic nutrition. One is called as holozoic nutrition, one is called saprobiotic or saprophytic mode of nutrition, and one is called parasitic mode of nutrition. Now let us take review of one by one. So what is saprophytic mode of nutrition? Organism feed on dead and decaying organic material. You know, after the death of plants and animals and any organism, their body goes to the soil. So it becomes a dead matter. Sometimes animals do excretion, and excretory matter of animal is also organic matter. The organism which feed on these dead and decaying organic matter, they are called as decomposers. They are called as saprophytic organism. They are like fungi, there are some bacteria, actinomycetes, bread mold, yeast, mushrooms, particularly group of fungi and some of the bacteria. All these group of organisms are called saprophytes. They play very important role in the nature as a decomposers. They play important role. Then there is another mode of nutrition that we call it as a parasitism. Organism obtain the food from other living organism that we call host slowly and gradually without killing them. So the organism called parasite derives food from its host without killing it. Certain organism grows inside the body of host, they are called as indoparasite. For example, in case of animals, we are having certain worms growing in our intestine, they are called as endoparasites. While there are certain animals which sucks the food material or blood from the body of the host, like mosquito, like bed bugs, they are called as ectoparasites. There are certain plants also, interestingly, like cuscuta that we call amar-bel. There are certain plants like orobanche, loranthus, certain orchids. They are growing on other plants, and they are deriving the food material from them. There is one more interesting mode of nutrition being shown by a very typical group of organism that we call them as lichen. You know, the lichen is a symbiotic association between algae and fungi. Here in this symbiotic association, algae prepare the food and fungi absorb the food, water and nutrients from the soil. So it's a very interesting type of nutrition that we call symbiotic nutrition. In this discussion, we are going to talk about the holozoic nutrition. What is holozoic nutrition? It is a kind of nutrition where the organism engulf the food, what we call as food. They take the food inside their body, and therefore it is called as holozoic mode of nutrition. Here two words are there. Holo means whole and zoicus means animal. Of course, from this you can understand that this type of nutrition is being shown by animals, where the complex food is taken into a specially digestive system and it is broken down into smaller pieces, then chemically digested, converted into simpler one, and then is absorbed. This holozoic nutrition consists of 5 important steps always. The first step is ingestion, then second is digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. Let us take the examples of the holozoic nutrition being shown in amoeba. This is often asked in your examination. You see, amoeba is a irregular shaped unicellular organism, animal you can say. As soon as food stimulus come in contact with amoeba with the help of pseudopodia, it captures that food and that food is taken inside the body. This first step is called as ingestion. This food vacuole that containing food is being acted upon by the enzymes present in the amoeba. This food is then converted into simpler material and these simpler materials are absorbed in the protoplasm of amoeba, that we call as digestion. After digestion, unwanted and undigested material, it is thrown out from the body, that we call egestion. Then absorbed material is utilized by absorbed material is being utilized by the organism themselves for the growth and development. Then it is circulated and then unwanted material and undigested material is thrown out of the body, that we call as egestion. So these 5 steps are important everywhere. So this type of holozoic nutrition is a typical example of animals. Animals follow that. In the context, we are also going to discuss the human digestive system. And here is one summary chart I have shown you, that human digestive system is one of the most important part. It consisting 2 aspects, digestive glands and the alimentary canal. What are the digestive glands associated with the digestive system? We have to understand, friends, here. Here you can understand once again that the digestive glands are salivary gland. The largest digestive gland is the liver. Then there are pancreatic gland. Then there are gastric gland present along the lines of stomach. Then the glands along the inner wall of the alimentary canal. Then the second important part of the digestive system is alimentary canal. It is actually a very long tubular structure, begins from the mouth and end up to the anus, and it consisting various parts like mouth, buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine and anus. So these are the various parts of our digestive system. Let us begin about talking about the alimentary canal. So as I told you in the beginning, that alimentary canal is a long tube about 8 to 10 meters long. Just imagine it, about 30 feet or 35 feet long tube structure beginning from mouth. It is consisting of the various parts in between: mouth, buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine and anus. You can see in this particular diagram of the human digestive system, beginning from the mouth, the uppermost part, the mouth, and then there is a buccal cavity that we called as mouth space. Behind the mouth space there is a throat, and in that throat is a pharynx. It's a very typical area where respiratory system and digestive system is having common opening. And below that you can see very long tube that passes through our chest cavity, and then it goes to stomach, then small intestine, large intestine, then rectum and then anus. These are the various parts of alimentary canal. And of course you can also notice the very larger glands. This is another diagram I would like to show you. This is the projected view of that digestive system, but upper parts of that system you cannot see properly. But from esophagus you can see stomach, then small intestine, in between the stomach and large intestine, yellow color structure you can see, that is pancreas. Then very large liver you can see, that's a brick red color. You can see that liver is a largest digestive gland, exocrine gland in the body. Then greenish structure in between you can also notice, that is a gallbladder. And this particular diagram would be revealing the various parts, how they are associated with each other and how it is properly kept in our stomach, our body containing these visceral organs in them. Then if we go further, let me talk about each and every part in details. The mouth is upper transverse slit bounded by lips, and the lips do not allow the food material to go out or water to go out. This is important part. It is also grasping the food. Then second is buccal cavity. It is a space within the mouth side walls. They are formed by cheeks. Then the roof is palate, and at floor there is a tongue. You know that the teeth and salivary glands are present within this buccal cavity. In adult human we are having 32 teeth. They are used for mastication of the food. So physically the larger particles of the food are broken down into the smaller particle for effective reactions, and teeth also help to mix the food with the saliva. Then tongue is a muscular fleshy organ that helps in swallowing the food bolus. It actually presses that bolus into our pharynx and into the esophagus, thereby swallowing is being helped by tongue. The papillae present on this tongue, they are containing receptor for the testing the food that we call as taste buds. You know them. Then there are 3 pairs of salivary glands present in the buccal cavity. These salivary gland secrete watery juice. We call it as a saliva, and that watery juice saliva containing amylase or salivary amylase, or it's called ptyalin, that digests the starch into sugars. Then there is water, and then there is a mucus. Actually mucus is a sticky substance that lubricates the bolus for easy swallowing. Then behind our this buccal cavity or mouth cavity, we call it as a pharynx. It passes food toward the esophagus. Actually it is a meeting point, the digestive and the respiratory system, that what we have to understand. Okay, so here you can see the human digestive system. Very beautiful diagram, you can see properly here. I told you regarding the pharynx, and so this diagram you can watch it again and again as per your convenience and interest. But in this particular diagram you have to watch the liver, then there is a tube coming out of the liver, and then adjoining gallbladder is there. Then stomach is followed by a small intestine. The terminal part of this small intestine is called as duodenum. Then there is a long ileum, and then the last part we will discuss is called, and these are the various parts of our digestive system. Then let me go further. We will talk about esophagus. Esophagus is 25 centimeter long, thin and narrow tube connecting pharynx to that of stomach. From the mouth, the food is taken to the stomach through this food pipe or esophagus. It passes the food by that phenomenon is called as peristalsis. In this diagram you can see the peristalsis. And what is this peristalsis? It is a rhythmic contraction and relaxation movement. Thereby the food bolus is pushed forward, that we call as peristalsis. It is necessary to move the food in a regulated manner along the digestive tube so that it can be processed properly in each part. The lining of the canal has muscles that contract rhythmically in order to push this food forward. So this is called as peristaltic movement, and this peristaltic movement not only present in esophagus, but it is present all along the gut, all along the alimentary canal. Okay, so peristalsis is one of the most important part or process that we can see that happens in the esophagus. The esophagus then ends into the stomach. So what is stomach? If you see in the digestive system, stomach is the very large bag, about 25 to 30 centimeter long. It expands when the food enters in it because it is made up of very thick muscles. The muscular walls of the stomach help in mixing the food thoroughly, that we called as mixing of the food, churning of the food, for mixing the digestive juices secreted by the stomach wall. These digestion functions are taken care by the gastric glands present in the wall of stomach. These glands secrete hydrochloric acid, then protein digesting enzymes called pepsin, and some amount of mucus. The hydrochloric acid creates an acidic medium which facilitates the action of enzyme pepsin. Suppose that pepsin has to digest protein into amino acid, it needs pH 2 to 3, and this acidic pH is being maintained by the hydrochloric acid being secreted by the glands present in the wall of this stomach. You can see the structure of stomach. The esophagus is getting connected. Then there is one sphincter, esophageal sphincter, that constriction which allows slowly and gradually the food entering from esophagus as it comes into the stomach through peristaltic movement. And due to peristaltic movement and the sphincters, these are actually circular controlling type of valves which prevent the regurgitation, that is backflow of the food from our stomach to the esophagus and to the mouth. Okay, that's the important aspect and the role they are playing. Then there is a very big body of the stomach where the food is entering. You can observe the rugi of the mucosa, inner wall we call mucosa, and there are roughness. This wall is comparatively much more thicker, and because of that it shows a movement. And because of the movement, as soon as the food enters in the stomach, the churning takes place. In this churning, the enzymes are thoroughly mixed, water is mixed, enzymes are mixed. The digestion begins here, particularly protein digestion, and then the semi-digested material that we called as now chyme that passes through the sphincter that present toward the lower part of this stomach that we called as pyloric sphincter. Slowly and gradually it enters the small intestine. Then obviously a question arises, always a question is asked, that what other functions do the acid perform? Actually acid plays very important role, and you would have sometime heard about the acidity, usually often that adult complaints about. Actually it is that fact that our stomach secrete hydrochloric acid at very high amount, and it is maintaining pH about 2 to 3. Actually it's a very high pH, that means high acidity. And if the food is present, then we don't feel the problem of acidity. But if the food is not there in our stomach, this acid flushes back in our esophagus and in our pharynx, and therefore we feel like pungent, and we feel it irritating. But this acid play very important role. The first role is that the acid kill the microbes that are probably entering along the food. Second, it is making the food very soft. For example, if the non-vegetarian food is there, it is comparatively tougher material, then it is becoming more soft. And the third and the most important part is it is maintaining pH, acidic. And due to that acidic pH, then the action of the pepsin can begins. And once that food is digested with the help of these types of enzymes secreted by wall, then it is pushed forward. Then comes the small intestine. It is the most important part. It is the longest part. It is about 6 meter long, and as it is 2.5 centimeter broad tube, it is termed as small intestine. Actually it is the longest part, however, but because diameter is less than the larger intestine, it is called as small intestine. From the stomach, now food is entering into the small intestine. It is actually the longest part of the alimentary canal, and the length of the small intestine differs, of course, in various animals depending upon the type of food, whether they are herbivores or omnivores. Herbivores that are eating grasses, they need longer small intestine to allow cellulose to digest, and therefore herbivores are having long intestine as compared to the meat eating animals. As you know that meat is easier to digest, and hence carnivores like tigers, they have short small intestine as compared to the herbivores. But we are having, as I told you in the beginning, 6 meter long and about 2.5 centimeter broad tube that we call the small intestine. This small intestine, as in the figure, you please see in the figure that joining to the stomach there is a small tube we called as a duodenum. Then the longer middle part is called as jejunum, and the terminal most part which adjoining or joins with the large intestine, it is called as ileum. Duodenum is a U-shaped about 25 centimeter long tube. The bile duct and the pancreatic duct open in the duodenum. So bile, which is a juice coming from the liver, and the pancreatic juices that are containing various enzymes that are being poured in the duodenum, and in fact from the duodenum the digestion begins. Then jejunum is 2.5 centimeter, comparatively longer, very narrower tube, and ileum is very long, about 3.5 meter long. The small intestine is the site of the complete digestion of the carbohydrate, proteins and fats. Try to understand, friend, it is the site where now digestion of carbohydrate, proteins and fats completes, and therefore it plays very important role. Now here I would like to also share with you how digestion takes place. The food is coming from the stomach in acidic, and it has to made alkaline for the pancreatic enzyme to act. Now, in pancreatic juices there are present amylases, but they are called pancreatic amylases. Then there are proteases that digest the proteins. Then there are lipases. There are various types of enzyme almost digesting and simplifying all the food material, and therefore the pH needed for all the enzymes secreted by pancreatic juices, then they need it to be alkaline, and therefore the bile juice and the pancreatic juices, they make the alkaline pH in the small intestine. Then bile juice play a very important role. We have to understand this also, that bile salt break the fat globule, which are larger one, into the smaller globule, increasing the efficiency of lipase enzyme. Lipase digests the lipids into fatty acids and glycerol. But for their better action, the bile acts as an emulsifying agent, and it emulsifies the fat. It means break the fats into smaller pieces, smaller droplets or globules, and then they are acted upon by lipase. The pancreas secrete pancreatic juice, which contain enzymes like trypsin for digesting proteins and lipase for breaking down the emulsified fats. The walls of small intestine contain glands which secrete intestinal juices that are together called as succus entericus. There are certain glands present all along the inner lining of the small intestine. They are also secreting various types of hormones and juices. They are digesting the food material. The enzyme present in it finally convert the proteins to amino acids, complex carbohydrate like starch into glucose, and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. This digestive food is then taken by the wall of intestine. Yes, we also have to understand that the small intestine not only digests the food completely, but it also absorbs the digested simplified food along the wall of the small intestine, and accordingly the inner wall of the small intestine is architecturally planned. As you can see in this diagram, that inner wall is highly folded into very small finger-like projections that increases the surface area, and these are called villi. As you can see, these are the finger-like projections. They are present all along the inner lining. Okay, so villi increases the surface area. The villi are richly supplied with the blood vessel, which takes the absorbed food. And this particular diagram you can see, it's one of the villi, the outer lining of the villi. Even you can see these are the epithelial cell which are having projections on them, and therefore they increase the surface area. But inside you can see the red color artery, blue color vein, and then there is a white color lacteal. So lacteal is a vessel that absorbs selectively fats and fatty acids and glycerol, and then arteries are absorbing the digested food material, glucose, amino acids and minerals and vitamins and all the water that is present in our stomach. So absorption of the food material is being effectively being done by by the small intestine. The inner wall of the small intestine is made in such a way that inner wall is thrown into number of finger-like projections. They are called villi, and these villi selectively absorb the food material into the blood vessels. Okay, so this is the small intestine. Now this is large intestine. As it is said to be large because its diameter comparatively large. It is about 1.5 meter long, broader than the small intestine tube, and it consisting two parts, colon and rectum. Colon is anterior and differentiated into three parts: ascending, transfer colon and descending colon. Immediately attached to the small intestine is ascending colon, as you can see in the diagram. Then there is a transfer colon. Then there is a descending colon which is attached to the rectum. Okay, the mucosal cells secrete mucus, make the passage of undigested food material easy. The unabsorbed food is sent into the large intestine, where more villi absorb water from this material. So try to understand that large intestine is particularly absorbing more water present within undigested food, and as a result that what we call as now the undigested food becomes solidified comparatively. It becomes more solid as compared to the food in the small intestine. Then when it enters into the rectum, which is posterior region, which store this fecal matter temporarily. It be stored for certain period of time, where also further absorption of water is there. Then the last and terminal part is the opening that we called as anus. It is guarded by sphincter. Yeah, it is having certain muscle which are under the control of our will and wish. Okay, the fecal material is then removed from the body via this anus. The exit of this waste material is regulated by anal sphincter. So large intestine plays very important role. At the juncture of ileum and the large intestine, you can see there is one finger-like projections. It is called as vermiform appendix. It is a blind sac-like structure present at the juncture of small intestine and large intestine, and that part is called as cecum, and cecum is consisting that's vermiform appendix. Actually, vermiform appendix don't have any function in human being. Once when we were apes, probably in the apes, to digest the raw material, that vermiform appendix is reported to produce cellulase enzyme that digests the cellulose, but in human being it becomes vestigial or non-functional. So this is all about the human digestive system. Friends, you can see this video again and again, and you can pause this video to observe the diagram in much more detail, and you can take the advantage of this particular video in such a manner that you can study it again and again. If you like this video, you please press the like button. You please subscribe this YouTube channel, and you can download many such videos I am going to make for you specially. And even if you demand that, sir, you prepare this video, we don't understand some of the concept while reading, I'll definitely make some useful videos for you. Even I'm having some videos explaining this phenomena, I'll also load next time. Okay, so this is my part I have done. Now your part is that you please study it again and again, and you see the questions asked on this particular topic. It's very interesting and important topic. Very small questions are asked in NCERT examination. It is also interesting to understand how our digestive system of human beings work. You are sitting at home and taking much more very interesting food being prepared by your mother, tasty food, but how this food digested and how it is being useful for our human body, we have learned as a part of our syllabus. So with this I conclude today. I wish we'll once again meet on tomorrow for the next topic. Till then, goodbye. Thank you very much, friends, and I hope that